And at this point, I will let Ms. Jan Rippingale to expand on their work at Blu Banyan.
Thank you, Leon. Before we get to Jan, I just wanted a couple of housekeeping notes. So if you have any questions, please open up the chat and drop your questions in there. We will take it at the end of this session. We have 10 minutes for Q&A. So that's one. And for those of you who would like to listen to this once again, or those who have missed today's call, we will be sharing the YouTube link with the recording of this workshop. Over to you, Jan.
Thank you so much. So today we're going to be talking about the need for these more accurate performance indicators for decentralized PV financial reports. So the utility scales have got the top end financial reporting, and even they actually have difficulty putting these together quickly and easily and reliably. But as we automate, we're being able to take that technology and bring it down to the base of the pyramid so that everyone with these renewables will be able to benefit. So we're going to talk about what it means when you reduce the uncertainty from tier 3 to tier 1, going from 10 to 20% uncertainty to 2 to 5% uncertainty has dramatic impacts in choices that you're going to make as an asset manager. So being able to move these and make it cost effective at these price points is key. The top best leading practice for managing and planning for any asset is to use the monthly operating report. So we're going to take this top best practice from tier 1 utility scale and again bring it down to all the decentralized PV so that everyone benefits in that same way. And with the way that we're able to do this is we're using the US Department of Energy's Orange Button Data Standard. So that enables all sizes of PV operators and owners to benefit from these tier 1 performance indicators. So we want to bring this best of breed practices and reduce the cost so that we can deploy them at scale everywhere. So we can deploy more solar faster. So let me tell you how we're doing it. So first, just a little background in case you haven't heard about who Blu Banyan is and why you should actually listen to us. Let me give you some background information. So Blu Banyan built Solar Success. So it's a software product that's fully integrated business application for the solar industry. And we have specifically evaluated and looked at the hairball of all of the solar data and renewable energy data that exists typically today. And we brought that together to create a harmonized data system that creates a single database with a single source of truth. And that has created tremendous operational efficiencies to the extent that we actually 25% of the installed residential PV capacity, annual PV capacity is done by companies who are running their businesses on Solar Success. So we work with this every single day and are cutting edge looking for ways to help our clients deploy more solar faster. So we found out about the Department of Energy's Orange Button Initiative relatively early on in our process and decided that this was the key to setting up the energy information infrastructure. And by setting up that infrastructure, we give ourselves the ability to harmonize our data and get to the single source of truth. The US Department of Energy realized that this would be needed, and they formed this working group with the SunSpec Alliance, Sandia Labs, and then other businesses like Blu Banyan, Wells Fargo, Raised Green, so that we could set up the standards that would be needed for the energy sector altogether, specifically focused on renewables and a lot of the principles required that tie the energy production and the financials together are actually common for the entire sector. We have two main areas that we're working on. One is the taxonomy definitions. And this is literally about having a common language about which terms that we're using so that we're always speaking the same language, which is a very precise language, but that language brings clarity about what it is that we're doing. And then we found, as we went to deploy this, that we needed to have common reference sets for data. And by having the AHJ registry, we have actually got a geomapping registry of all authorities having jurisdiction, every place that you need a permit from. There's actually 48,000 in the United States, and they are geomapped together with a common identifier and common characteristics about their, what fire standards and other safety standards that you need to meet in that jurisdiction. Wind standards vary a lot across the US, and it's all captured in one central database. We are adding these reference data sets to create this package where we will have a common energy information infrastructure that helps us scale and then get these financial and performance results out reliably. So it makes the project data accessible, lowers the costs, and then it's extensible for new technologies from IoT level all the way up to mega utility scale. And the next slide, Andrew. The very first question that I'm always asked about this is who else is doing this with the orange button standard? And as of course, this is the key for us to be able to scale and deliver these technologies. So these are the different systems that Solar Success interfaces with. These are the main technology players in the industry. And as you can see, we have 6 that are orange button compliant, and that number is growing consistently. It does include the Solar App API, which is one of the top 5 initiatives from the US Department of Energy to get permitting done quicker. And that is also going to have an orange button API. So this is the ecosystem that we need together to grow to reduce the solar soft costs. And I'm happy to show that Soltell is in this mix as we are bringing these performance indicators and the monthly operating report into a scalable format that can be used on distributed systems as well as utility scale. Let me know if you have any questions about this. This is the most common area of questions. So let's get back to talking specifically about the monthly operating report. We could move to the next slide, Andrew. So what is it about the monthly operating report that we really need? So this is an integration between the Soltell data where they're giving us this performance information, and then we're bringing that into Solar Success where we've got the accounting platforms for O&M as well as asset management and other operational costs. So better understanding the deviations from the expected production is crucial. Currently, if you're comparing to the modeled amounts from historical days of the year from what happened in the past, you can get a reading of 90% accuracy and you don't know if that's actually 70% or if that's 100% efficiency. So it makes it very difficult to assess whether or not it makes any sense to take any action based on that data. Therefore, it creates this uncertainty and people don't know whether or not they should actually fix their systems. The financiers don't know if there's really a problem or if you just had a weird weather month that month. And so the net metering and the 10 to 20%, the tier 3 readings really doesn't scale as we need to coordinate as we get a larger install base across the world. So we need that to understand how to make cost-efficient decisions. If you have 90% and you only have a 5% deviation and it's 85 to 95%, there's probably some soiling, and you can decide probably based on some trends whether or not you think it's time to go out and wash your modules or whatever it is that you need to do next. This is the key to growing investors' confidence and attracting more capital, that you're delivering what you say you're going to be delivering. You're delivering what the system says it's capable of delivering on a consistent basis. Everything that reduces uncertainty brings in money. It has become a little mantra in my world about reducing uncertainty increases cash. The benefit of all the people with the individual systems is 133. But then there becomes this collective benefit that we get as a whole that starts when we start to lay the foundation for having the data sent in the same way from all of the distributed systems as well as the utilities. That lays the foundation for us to be able to coordinate with the utilities, because I love the independence and the resilience that the distributed systems bring to the world. And the more intelligently we can coordinate with each other to address natural disasters or other things that are just outlying weather events that are going to happen, the more robust our economy and systems working together are going to be. So 1 through 3 are all about how this helps the individual owners, but 4 is how it helps us all collectively to take this to the next level and, you know, benefit from our cooperative engagement in a way that will give us support national security as a whole, as well as just our convenience of always having the power on and internet up and those kinds of things. Next slide, Andrew.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a delay.
Might be a delay. Okay, so the next piece I want to talk about is what exactly is data harmonization, because this is fundamentally, it's the secret sauce. It's the piece that makes all of this work together to get the big effects. So data harmonizing is really bringing together all the different file formats and naming conventions and columns and putting it into one cohesive data set. If you've worked on a project that had 10 different analysts on it, I'm sure you have lived a little bit of your life in a version of Excel hell, where every single analyst had their own way of doing the data and made their own set of assumptions and their own set of parameters that went into that data. And you either need to infer or deduce or guess what it is when you come back and look at it later. This was acceptable when we were smaller scale, but as we increase what the decentralized footprint is, so we move from 5% of the energy grid to 40% of the energy grid by 2035, as the Biden administration's outlined. Our goals are, we are going to need to have a coherent data set and actually know what we're talking about so we can compare apples to apples. This simplicity, this kind of obvious element is the key to being able to automate risk assessment across different systems, across different companies that make capital systems much more comfortable allocating more and more capital, knowing that that capital is not fundamentally at risk. It's helped us grow and scale with clarity, and it helps us address this faster. We need to move collectively to solve this problem. So this saves time, reduces errors, and lowers costs. So all of our best bandwidth can be used to do this.